What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim, back with another video, and today I want to give you guys my review of Tetris Effect. Now, I played this exclusively on VR, and if you don't have a VR, you can play this on 2D, just on your regular television, but I'm telling you now, you're doing yourself a major disservice for not playing this game in virtual reality. It is amazing. I don't know if I would say that this is the system seller for VR. I know I use that term system seller quite a bit in my reviews, but what I'm trying to indicate is that I don't think this is a game you absolutely have to play. Now, hear me out, you're probably thinking, well, this is a pretty bad review if he's off the bat saying that you don't need this game. I'm not saying that at all, but let's be honest. VR is definitely a gimmick. VR is definitely for a small percentage of us who has expendable income to blow another $300 on an ancillary accessory that doesn't offer a lot of great games. And I think everybody who has a virtual reality system understands that it's this very cutting edge technology that sometimes works well, sometimes doesn't. Whether it's the graphical, like how things look graphically, or whether it's the VR sickness or the screen door effect, there are a lot of barriers into the VR entry, and I understand that. Tetris Effect does a really, really good job of breaking a lot of those boundaries, but in of itself, as beautiful as it is, as a showcase game that it is, it's really just Tetris. And that comes with some good things and that comes with some bad things. Now, what Tetris Effect tries to do is it tries to transport you to these amazing universes with this overwhelming stimulus of the 3D effects and this really pulse-pounding soundtrack and the way the controller vibrates with the beats of the music and the way that everything just slowly comes together to really immerse you in this Tetris effect. And although the actual clinical term of the Tetris effect is this actual condition where when people used to play a lot of Tetris, they would start to see Tetris in the world around them, I view Tetris effect more as this universe you go to where you kind of get in this zone almost where you just start seeing things in blocks and you just start playing the game almost instinctively. You're not even really thinking about what you're doing. And to me, this game really does transport you into that zone. Think to your favorite game when you're doing something and it's just methodical. You don't even really understand you're doing it. For me, just last week, we went to a retro arcade and I started playing Guitar Hero. And it took me 2 or 3 songs to kind of get into the swing of things, but after a while, I just felt the music. I know that sounds kind of odd, but maybe you understand that phenomenon with some of your favorite games or activities. This game does that with Tetris, and that's what I love about it. But in terms of like a VR showcase game, it doesn't necessarily really push the boundaries because everything is from a static point of view. And as pretty as the surrounding world is around you, you don't really necessarily need the VR element to experience that. Now, I will say that it does really push the envelope in trying to make the universe as good as it can be. But again, we've seen so many ports of Tetris where you can change the background, you could change the background music, you could change the way the pieces look, you could change some of the rules like the board is inverted or upside down, or the pieces are really large or something like that. And this game does all of that. The difficulty in Tetris Effect is the one thing that really gives me a lasting impression with it. And that's actually a bad thing. The game is very hard. And unlike other Tetris games where you start at level 0 and you slowly start building up higher levels to where the pieces are coming blindingly fast, this game does that randomly. So there are, as you're going through what they call the journey, where you're going in all these different universes, uncovering things, whether it's playing in a Sahara Desert or in a jazz band in a downtown cityscape or in a looking at a windmill from like a bird's eye point of view. You're transported to these worlds where sometimes it seems like it's gentle, soothing, it's nice and slow. You're able to take your time, set up your Tetris by getting the 4-line Tetramino to clear 4 lines at once. And you're really kind of just enjoying it. And then wildly, violently, without any reason or rationale, the game will just basically turn up the dial to 50. And it's blindingly fast, blindingly painful, and it really does jar the experience, and it takes you out of the experience. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. We were just having fun and kind of just chilling and playing Tetris and kind of being in the moment, and suddenly it's breakneck speed, and there's really no ramp up to it. It just happens randomly and wildly. Now, there is a soundtrack going on in the background, and sometimes you can kind of foresee it coming. But the truth is, if you're just trying to kind of have like a chill mode almost, Tetris Effect is not going to give you that experience. And it's so frustrating because when you look at the marketing material and you look at what the game has really advertised itself to be, it's not that. It's not this championship level Tetris where every move has to be thought 3 moves in advance and you have to really kind of push the envelope. I don't like that. I think that's a major disservice to this game. And I think it's something that they really overlooked in the design. Unfortunately, there are no chill modes, so to speak. Every single level, whether you're playing on the journey or whether you're playing on what they call this exploration kind of challenge mode, where you see what the community is up to and you play based on your mood, where they'll put you in a certain level that stays static with a certain soundtrack. Regardless of that, there's going to be these wild ramp-ups in difficulty and these wild ramp-ups in the tempo of the game, and it's really, really frustrating, and I don't like it. Despite all the negatives, really, it's a really fun game. I'm glad I got it. I had VR, so I'm enjoying it in VR. If you don't have VR, I don't think you're going to have as much fun as experience, but if you're a diehard Tetris fan and you're jonesing for the next-gen Tetris, the name of the game is Tetris Effect. If I had to give this a rating on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the greatest game of all time, I would probably give it a 7. Maybe like a strong 6, a low 7 in that genre, or that range rather. And I really think it has to do with those difficulty spikes. I think if we could have found a way to just jam with the game and just enjoy Tetris for the experience it is and put us in these beautiful VR worlds with this killer soundtrack, I think it would have been more fun of an experience. But it keeps pulling you out when you have to restart a level, or when it's frustratingly difficult and you're spending extensive retries over and over and over trying to break through to get to the next zone. And there's no rhyme or reason behind that, and I don't understand why the journalists aren't really talking about that. Everybody's just blown away, and they're like, oh, it's such a great game, it's this VR masterpiece, and it is pretty, but I think the difficulty is going to just knock all that immersion out very rapidly, and for that, it's very unfortunate. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about Tetris Effect. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.